Hey everyone! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Mystery. Today I will be telling you guys my birth story. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, so it all started on September 6th, 2019, obviously. At about 12 o'clock, I decided to go for a walk because I had been doing lots of walking every single day to progress my contractions, because I had been having contractions for about 2 weeks, but nothing very painful, and they weren't very consistent. So I was waiting for them to pick up in some pain level and also be more consistent before I went into the hospital. So I went for a long walk, and I decided to do some rounds on the stairs and like running, even though that's not necessarily recommended when you're pregnant. But I wanted my little baby out and I was desperate. So I walked for about an hour, and all of a sudden throughout that hour my contractions started being very consistent, where they were about 1 minute to 2 minutes apart. And they were picking up in pain. They weren't very painful, but they definitely were more painful than they had been. So I called my husband and I said, we got to go to the hospital. We had all of our stuff ready, all of our hospital bags and her diaper bag and the car seat. So we got all of that loaded up and we headed to the hospital, to the triage department. So I was admitted in triage, and I was there for about 7 hours. It was a long time that I was just there waiting to see what they would say. And they checked me, and I was 4 centimeters dilated. And so they said that that was enough to admit me into the hospital, but keep in mind they said that if I didn't continue to progress, so basically if I didn't go from 4 centimeters to 5 centimeters, that they would send me home. So they decided to admit me because, like I said, I was 4 centimeters dilated and I was 80% effaced, which is the thinning of your cervix between the baby and yourself. Basically, there's this little barrier, and once it starts to thin out, that baby's ready to come out. So they admitted me, and I went into the labor and delivery department, and I had an amazing doctor, and she basically watched my progression, and I stayed the night. And then come September 7th, the following day, they checked me and I was still at 4 centimeters. But they checked my, because they track your contractions, and they said, you are still having them. They are still like completely consistent. So we need to get this moving. So they said, how about we have you do some walking, which I knew would help because it had been helping me prior when I was at home. So they sent me on loops around the labor and delivery department for 2 hours, 2 hours straight of walking. And my contractions definitely started picking up in pain level wise. They weren't like, I wasn't dying, but I definitely had to like bend over and breathe and get myself through them. And I was also doing squats to kind of, help progress my dilation. Then after the 2 hours, they checked me and I was 5 centimeters. So I went from 4 centimeters to 5 centimeters. So that was a good thing. And they said, okay. They said, as long as you get to 6 centimeters, then we will break your water for you, because that is a way to help progress your labor, basically, because you're already in labor, but your water breaking will guarantee that the baby is coming like that day within 24 hours. So I was ready. I told my husband, let's do this, let's go. And they said 2 more hours of walking. So we did rounds again. I did my squats, and they checked me again, and sadly they said that I was still 5 centimeters, but I had gone all the way from 80% effaced to 95% effaced. So things were definitely moving along, and my doctor was so kind, she was so sweet, and she was just so encouraging and motivating that she said, how about we check your blood pressure again? Because in the hospital's eyes, when your blood pressure is high, they can do things to help progress your labor by giving you Pitocin or by popping your water. And so they checked my blood pressure, and it was high. So she was like, okay, looks like we're gonna pop your water. And they took this long, it was about that long, this yellow stick, and it had a little hook on the end. And I right away asked my doctor, like, is it gonna hurt? Like, do I need to prepare for pain? And she said, no, you should only feel some pressure. And so they, she administered and popped my water, and all I felt was like a rush of fluid. I didn't feel any pain. I didn't feel any pressure, nothing. It was completely smooth. And so she popped my water, and let's just say after that, things started getting crazy. So she left, and they left me to kind of just sit. And within a few hours, because they popped my water at about 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. on September 7th. And so they left, and my nurse kept coming in, and my contractions were getting extremely painful, where I was having to hold on to the bed. I could barely breathe. I could barely get myself through them, and my husband was having to coach me, just saying, you can do this, just breathe. Nothing's permanent. She'll be here soon. Like, you've got this. And so, of course, his presence immensely helped me. And they were very bad. And so then at 8:30, I told them, like, this is getting insane. I need you to check me. Something is happening. Like, clearly I'm dilating. And they checked me again, and I went from 5 centimeters to 7 centimeters. So I knew that things were happening for sure, and that they were happening a lot quicker than we anticipated, because that was only 2.5 hours that I had dilated 2 centimeters. So then they got even worse, and I didn't even think that they could get worse, but they got worse, and I was crying, and I did not think that I could do it. And I told my husband, like, do not let me get the epidural. Just don't. I don't want it. I wanted to do my labor 100% naturally. But I got so close to getting it. Like, that's how bad the contractions got, that I was like this close to being like, give me that epidural. But sadly, even if I wanted it, once you're past 7 centimeters, they won't give it to you. So I would have been screwed anyways. But those last like 3 contractions, I thought I was gonna die. And my family just kept coming in and out, seeing me in so much pain. And I felt really bad, but hey, I mean, I'm in labor. And so my nurse told me, she said, as soon as you feel like you have to push, let us know, because that probably means that you have to start pushing. And so my last contractions, I couldn't do it anymore, and I felt the urge to push. And so I called her in, and it had only been 30 minutes. So at 8:30, they checked me, and then at 9, I had them check me. Well, it was less than 30 minutes. It was about 8:50 that they checked me. And so, they checked me again, and that was even more painful than the contractions, because they're checking your cervix while you're contracting. And just, it was just, I don't even like to think about it. It was so painful that I was like grabbing my nurse's hand, trying to rip her out of me, because I was screaming, and I kept saying, like, please stop, like, stop, I can't. But I mean, poor things, they have to check me, even though I was like dying on that table. And she checked me, and sure enough, I was 10 centimeters, so I had gone from 7 to 10 in 30 minutes. Less than 30 minutes. So that obviously explains why the contractions were basically unbearable for me, because I dilated so quickly. Thankfully, I mean, I wanted the process to go by fast, but I didn't expect it to be that fast. And so they checked me. My doctor came in, and they set up those like little foot supports, and my husband held one leg, my nurse held the other leg, and she said, okay, we're gonna do some practice pushes, because most women push, on average, they push for a while. Like, it's usually rare for women to like pop out their baby so quickly, especially for a first baby. So I was expecting to, be pushing for a while. But she said, yes, practice pushes, and I did it. But I'm like not a half-assed type of girl. Like, I was gonna give it my all right away. So I pushed as hard as I could, and my doctor like put on her gloves. She was like, okay, this is gonna happen fast, because already you could see her head. And I asked for a mirror, which is one of my biggest regrets like in my life, because it was just super traumatizing to see myself in that way, so vulnerable and exposed. It was just, I didn't need to see that. Let's just say that. But, so yeah, I had the mirror. I had to watch the whole gory show. And I only pushed about 10 times for about 15 minutes. And then this little angel popped out at 9:10 p.m. on September 7th. And she weighed 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and she was 20 inches long. My little baby. And they put her on my chest, and it was the most surreal experience of my life. Best day of my life. I wouldn't change it for the world. And just seeing my husband's reaction and just feeling her in my arms, like, it was, I can't explain it. Only mothers truly like know that experience. And I hope that every woman gets to experience it, at least the ones that want to. But yeah, and sadly, I was holding her, trying to enjoy this beautiful moment, but I tore. A lot of women tear. It's completely normal and natural. I didn't want to tear. I mean, no woman is like, yay, I want to tear during my birth. But I did tear. And they told me that I had a very rare tear. So I had a bilateral labial tear, which means instead of tearing downwards, like from your vagina to your butt, or like an episiotomy, I tore upwards. So basically where I pee got torn, like completely torn. And they didn't tell me whether it was a 1st degree tear, a 2nd degree, or a 3rd or a 4th degree tear. So I'm not sure how severe it was. All I know is my doctor was down there for like 30 minutes stitching me up. And that was probably more painful than my contractions and my labor. Like, it was so bad. Just imagine a needle going in and out of the flesh of your vagina. Like, I can't even, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She just pooped. TMI. But yeah, so the stitches were excruciating. I was shaking, I was crying. Couldn't wait till those were over. But it was so worth it. Like every last bit of it was so worth it because it brought me my little baby. And I wouldn't change any of it for the world. But yeah, it was just such an amazing experience. And this is my little baby. I'll show you guys my little baby. She's asleep right now. Oh gosh. That's a cute face, mamas. Well, this is my little baby. You gotta say hi, mamas. This is her. This is my little angel. She's upset because I'm waking her up. And this is Serafina Rain, my little baby. So yeah, guys, that's my birth story. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Give this video a like, and please subscribe. Your support means the world to us, and I'd love for you guys to follow me on my journey throughout motherhood and just my life. But yeah, I'll go ahead and be posting way more videos of my postpartum and her like 1 month update probably, and just keep going from there. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.